these articles that he had were petrified. Papers, pictures, people vanished.
Right.
And that, he couldn't quite comprehend that.
A former Air Force DC-3 pilot dropping freight in eastern Turkey for other CIA in the early 1960s saw it along with several other pilots flying missions for the CIA. He says the CIA and Air Force are well aware of the wooden barge on Mount Ararat, and pictures were probably turned over to these agencies.
By visiting with villagers in the proximity of the 1960 expedition and earning their trust, Ron Wyatt is at last directed to the exact location of the object which has held his fascination for so many years.
And here we are at last, gazing upon the mortal remains of the great boat that Noah and his family rode to safety.
We finally made it to the Ark. Looking at it from the stern, or rear, one can see the boat-shape outline of the Ark. It has a rounded stern and a pointed bow or front. The symmetrical shape indicates that it is a man-made structure. Ron Wyatt made 24 trips out here to conduct tests and do research at this boat-shaped formation. We are now standing on the middle deck of the Ark, and now pan over to the interior of the port side, where we can see 4 horizontal protrusions in a row. They are arranged in a regular pattern, indicating man-made construction. These would have been horizontal deck support timbers, extending toward the middle of the deck. Continuing to inspect the stern, we can see 5 objects in a row along the inside port area of the deck. These have been measured at regular intervals and appear to be vertical posts that would have supported the deck.
Of particular interest was the fact that the ship appeared to be impaled on a large outcropping of limestone. He concluded that this indicated that the ship had slid into the rock from another location. Ron decided to examine the area above the boat shape. The site was in a moving mud flow, so he followed the mud flow up the mountainside. About 1.5 miles up, he found a crescent shape of mountains. He saw that the mud flow began up here. When he arrived near the top of the ridge, he found an ancient stele, like an ancient billboard, which depicted the boat shape, the familiar mountain ridge, several birds, and 8 faces within the boat shape.
The formation that we have, as it's been surveyed both from aerial photographs and on the ground, it's been measured both ways, is 150 meters long, or almost 500 feet. If you take that long Egyptian cubit, assuming Moses is the author of the account, or the transmitter of the account, and apply that standard of measurement, it is interesting that this formation, either in the photographs or on the ground, has measured to essentially what would be 300 cubits long. Now that's a remarkable correspondence. It's not 500 cubits, it's not 150 cubits, it just happens to be 300 cubits long. And the biblical story just happens to record the length of the ark as 300 cubits long.
As you start digging into the length of a cubit, you'll discover there are literally dozens of definitions, only slightly different. There's the royal cubit, the Egyptian this, and the Babylonian that, and I won't go through a whole list of those. But they vary from as small as 17 inches to as long as 25 inches. Well, let's assume it's 18 inches, which is the conventional assumption. If this thing is 450 feet long and 75 feet wide and 45 feet high, and let's assume its density is such that its draft is about half its height, then its displacement would be about 24,000 tons. That turns out it would include about 1.4 million cubic feet. To put that in practical terms, that's over 500 railroad cars. That would hold about 125,000 sheep. And scientists estimate there are probably something like 18,000 species of animals that would qualify. We're excluding marine animals, of course. So we got 18,000, and most of them are smaller than a sheep.
You could call the year from August of '84 to August of '85 the year of the metal detector, because he took a metal detector over, went over the formation, and first of all, he got positive readings around his metal detector.
Dr. Baumgartner and Ron scanned the entire site with 3 different types of metal detectors. Placing rocks at each metal reading, they then attached tapes to show the lines.
Results with all 3 different types of metal detectors were consistent, and they did indeed give a pattern as they laid out strips. Now they also got crosswise patterns, and this was first discovered with the metal detectors.
4 different types of metal detectors are used. All produce positive readings, translated here into visually observable features. No positive results occur in the readings taken outside the boat-shaped area.
This large metal rivet, or metal washer around a metal rod, was found by Ron Wyatt when he had taken a tour group to the site in 1991. The center rod had been struck while it was hot, causing it to flare out, holding the washer in place. A portion of it tested at Galbraith Labs in Tennessee, and the results were stunning. It was 8% aluminum metal, just as Ron Wyatt's test had revealed. The test additionally showed a small amount of titanium metal that is also man-made.
This is a cylindrical shape of a nail found in the remains there of Noah's Ark, and I sent it off to the lab, and it also came back with aluminum metal inside of it. So again, we had the metal rivets, the metal rod, and you have the metal nail, all with aluminum inside.
Ron Wyatt was operating his ground-penetrating equipment before Turkish authorities when he spotted an object just below the surface. What they found was this beautiful deck timber. It was tested at Galbraith Labs for organic carbon. The level of organic carbon was extremely high, thus proving this object was once living matter, consistent with wood. The timber is in 3 layers, much like plywood, with glue oozing out at the end. This makes it stronger than one solid piece of wood. The outer area is covered in black pitch. Some nails can also be seen on its surface.
The device called SIR is used by energy exploration companies to analyze what's below the Earth's surface. According to SIR, something man-made is under Mount Eridog.
This data does not represent natural geology. It's a man-made structure.
The basic dimensions taken from Genesis in the Bible have given Day and his team inspiration to build an exact scale model of the Ark. To simulate a heavy animal cargo, the model Ark is weighted. A 220-foot wave tank will simulate storm conditions that the Ark would have likely encountered in the flood. And as soon as the waves hit the bow, the Ark quickly swings to the most unstable position. The motion detection camera picks up the degree of movement.
This is the image of the balls on the boat, and these are the motions of the vessels, which we're also recording here.
The Ark is pitching and rolling dangerously as the wave machine reaches storm conditions so extreme that one of the marker balls actually disappears underwater. But Ark supporters believe Noah had the technology to stabilize his boat in rough waters. And 13 miles west of the Durapinna site, Bowen finds the evidence.
Just down the valley from Noah's Ark, we come to the village of Kazan, where portions of the Ark's directional system were released, thus allowing the Ark to float more freely. This village was known as the Place of the 8, named so for the 8 survivors of the flood. This is the first area that Noah and his family lived after the flood. The large anchor stones were hung from the rear of the Ark to keep the rear facing oncoming waves. It created a type of resistance in the water, allowing the rounded rear of the Ark to fend off powerful waves that would critically damage the Ark if struck broadside.
To find out whether Noah's supposed technology works, Day has added weights beneath the model Ark. This time he's programmed in even bigger waves.
That, without the deck, would definitely have been over.
Amazingly, the Ark survives the giant wave impact. The stabilizing anchors have worked. Without them, the Ark would have turned over.
An archaeologist found this potser 20 yards from the Ark. On the concave side, it has a carving of a man using a hammer to drive a nail, much like Noah building the Ark. On the convex side, an ancient ink drawing shows a man releasing birds, matching the biblical narrative of Noah releasing a raven and a dove.
Ron Wyatt had a radar, subsurface interface radar device that he could run across the side of the Ark, and he noticed that there was a chamber at this particular spot. And so he did a core drill. It's about 6 inches in diameter, but about 5 feet deep. But anyway, he drilled into that chamber and used a long rake device stuck in there, and he pulled out petrified antler, petrified animal dung, cat hair, I believe it was red human hair, and then also some type of fiber similar to fiber optic, where light would hit one end of it and it would go out the other end.
Outside the village of Kazan is a large object that has the appearance of petrified tree bark and with unusual characteristics.
As far as we know, there's nothing else like this anywhere. Nobody's ever... My goodness. It's got crosses that are very faintly carved on it. You got a big one here. You got a small one right there.
This photo was taken in 1977 by Ron Wyatt, showing the walls of Noah's home.
The windows were angled back. The sides of the windows were angled back so that light could come in better. And if you notice some castles or fortresses in ancient times, they would have angled side windows also. So when I was there one time, I thought, I wonder if I could find some stones that were angled like Ron Wyatt mentioned. And so I found several of these 45-degree cut stones that would have been part of the windows, sides of the windows.
In the front yard stood this large tombstone. On the tombstone was a drawing of 8 people and a boat on a wave. The second largest person was looking downward with their eyes closed. This indicates that this was Mrs. Noah's tombstone.
To be us and our dad, and for us to get to find all that, it's impossible. So it was all a miracle, every bit of it. We didn't do anything on our own. We prayed about everything and God led us right to it.